Hey everybody, welcome to Trading Capital's exclusive analysis. In today's video, we're discussing natural gas. Today is currently May 15th. Jumping to the daily chart of natural gas. Overall, it was another strong session for the commodity, closing up 2.83%. And you can see here in the new futures market, Nat Gas is trying to push up. It's actually up 0.5% at the moment. If we look at the intraday 10-minute chart pattern, what we can observe is it's starting to get very, very choppy. A lot of big moves up, consolidation with heavy hard sells, heavy reversals, but still managing to put in higher highs and higher lows for now. But this type of big, all of a sudden, price dumps in the upper ranges of this pattern as prices just continuously making slightly higher highs, you run into a scenario where you could be running into a distribution zone right now, and I do think that Nat Gas is actually positioning itself for a bit of a near-term pullback. There's a few different reasons why. Not only have we had a stunning move since we've really broken out of this 210 massive previous support zone going all the way back to 2023, but when you look at this type of move, just simply speaking from February, Nat Gas has made an astonishing move of roughly 59%, 95 cents off of the lows. Obviously, we have been calling for bullish price action Nat Gas and have ridden most of this run to the upside. But now I think it's getting a little bit long in the tooth. I don't like when the pattern goes very parabolic because I actually have a long-term bullish thesis on Nat Gas for this year. But in the near term, I actually think this is probably going to pull back to minimum 236 and likely even more. When we look at the weekly chart of Nat Gas, you're into this beautiful setup. A massive previous resistance trend line going all the way back to 2018 pivot high through this breakout impulse candle zone in 2021, back tested this massive bounce zone in 2021 that actually took you to new all-time highs, huge pullback, and then new all-time highs, a bit of a failed breakout off of the double top. And then you zoom in and it connects through this massive gap. This gap, I remember trading this little run that we had back here. This was such a steep and vertical bounce, and it was not sustainable, and that ended up being faded right back down to the lows. So kind of what we're seeing here is a very unsustainable run. Just like we had here, this was very unsustainable. Nat Gas is pushing up too quickly, in my opinion. Again, I still think between the end of the year, $3 and $4 is a target, and probably somewhere in the middle 350 is a good zone for an end of year target. But in the near term, I'm actually positioning myself short to try to capture a little bit of a arbitrage opportunity if Nat Gas pulls back. And if it does pull back, I will be loading the boat. A couple of reasons why I'm also potentially just accumulating on the short side here. Nat Gas is now pierced through the daily 200 MA right now, and we haven't really tested that level really since we broke through it here in January with a pretty strong bounce to the upside. This time we're now testing it and we're getting through it. We're also breaching the weekly 50 MA. So if you throw in that weekly 50 MA, that's at 252. So that's a massive critical level we're also breaching at the moment. And I do think that Nat Gas is due for a little bit of consolidation. Maybe it doesn't sell off huge. I think that the Widowmaker does have a tendency to punish chasers. There's a lot of people still trying to chase this momentum. And I have seen this asset squeeze both higher. So just keep in mind that going against this type of commodity is inherently dangerous in itself because it's still technically on a historical basis oversold. So just keep that in mind when you're obviously positioning yourself. But that being said, I mean, the inventories haven't really been all that impressive other than some recent weather changing pattern that has kind of ignited a spark in Nat Gas. And one of the reasons I think Nat Gas has been also strong is you look at oil. Oil has had a beautiful multi-week sell-off back to a previous support zone. And I think oil is trying to carve out a bit of a near-term bottom here. And if oil starts to carve out a bottom and push up, that's when I do think you'll start to see a little bit of a rotation trade out of the Nat Gas trade and back into the oil trade. So I still think that there's a bit of a rotation going to be occurring in the energy sector. So overall, it's going to be interesting to see how things shape up. Again, I'm still longer-term end-of-year bullish in Nat Gas, but just short-term, I think that there's a near-term pullback. Typically, when you get this crossover of the 20 moving average here in blue and the orange EMA 113, you typically see a bit of distribution after that little bit of a moving average crossover. We have seen that in previous scenarios before where you get that bullish crossover in a very sharp and extended move, and you often see a little bit of distribution and consolidation and sell side pressure. So price action tends to get a little bit choppy once you get that bullish crossover of that EMA 113 and the 20 in a very extended and sharp fashion. So again, there's a few examples through history, but I won't go through them all at this point in time. So needless to say, be careful if you're still long and chasing. If you haven't secured any profits in this long trade, just guard your position very closely, and that's all I could say at this point in time. As of now, there's still a scenario where a bigger short squeeze still could unwind in this name, but the short squeeze level hasn't really broken yet. I will be identifying my short squeeze level in the next 2 weeks as we see where the next weekly candle will close. But there's a certain level that once it's triggered, that's when big positions and funds will start to actually cover their short position. There's still a lot of short interest in Nat Gas that could still be triggered, but it has not done so yet. So on that note, stay tuned for more analysis, and we'll see you on the charts a little bit later.